everybody.
Hi, friends. Well, from soggy Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up on the show today, we're going to be talking about the Easter Bunny.
Woo.
Come hopping around to your town and
Yeah,
hiding eggs.
as they do, as Easter bunnies are wont to do.
Such a strange thing, Dan.
You know, the egg-laying mammal is a rare thing, but not unheard of. It happens.
And
You can get ovoviviparous if you need to.
Great. All right, well, that's coming up. But first, Dan, before we get to that on the second half of the show, we're going to be talking, on the first half of the show, we're going to be talking about some news stuff that happened this week. Things that, interesting
your
things
various
from around
newses.
the world. Some religion and atheism stuff.
Yeah.
I want to start with this article featuring a woman whose name I do enjoy saying, but I hate having to say her name because of who she is. Lauren Boebert. I love the last name Boebert.
A name that rings echoes through the halls of, I mean, it brings with it the portent of evil, I think.
Boebert. I don't know. Boebert doesn't ring evil to me. Boebert is just...
Boebert's just a dumb-sounding name. But Lauren Boebert, there's your evil.
There's your evil. Absolutely. Well, Dan, did you hear... I don't think we talked about it on the show, but a few weeks ago at CPAC, she announced that her son had gotten his girlfriend pregnant.
Oh.
Did you hear about this? Her 17-year-old son?
No, I'm not into the hot goss.
Yeah. I hadn't heard about this either, but it's juicy. And I was just like, what? What?
And also, why do you announce that at CPAC? That feels like...
Well, because she's trying to get out in front of the story, I think.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
She's trying to get out in front of, and she's trying to control the story, right? Her son's girlfriend, who the article keeps referring to as partner, so I don't know, but they're both teenagers and in high school. Well, actually, we don't really know how old she is, at least the article that I read. The only thing that Lauren Boebert was willing to confirm about the girlfriend is that she is over the age of 14. So
good.
His 15-year-old girlfriend, I suppose.
Probably. 14 and a half is technically over 14, but okay.
Whatever. I think the whole point of telling it was so that she could sort of brag on the fact that they're not getting an abortion.
Right.
Right. Like that's, if she can control the story and spin it that way, then this is not a story about her failure as a Christian parent to keep her child on, away from the sex.
Yeah.
Right. But she's from rural America, where teenagers get pregnant all the fucking time and don't abort.
And don't do the responsible thing.
Right. Or even at a certain point, just if you can't bring yourself to an abortion, right?
Yeah.
Or to have an abortion, give the thing up for adoption. Right.
Well, okay. You know what? We need to back off of there's no one way to handle this.
No, there is no one way to handle it. People can decide what works for them. Right. Yeah. But an
abortion or adoption, is a very responsible way of dealing with an unwanted and unplanned for pregnancy.
And so is giving a child up for adoption. Yeah. Right. There are people out there who want to adopt. Yeah. And the only reason I'm saying that, because there's probably listeners who are like, well, I wanted to keep my kid and I did. Right. And that's great.
Sure.
But not having a child at 17 that you're tugging around leaves options open. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
Whereas your option, if you keep the kid, is, I don't know, maybe I should back
It's more
off
limited,
this.
But it doesn't matter. Look,
I feel like I'm
personally
going down a road that I don't actually feel all that strongly about.
Right.
If these parents, if
they have a good support network, if
it can work out. Yeah. All I'm saying, the reason that it is of interest with Lauren Boebert is because she was asked about this on the Rubin Report with Dave Rubin, a conservative political talk show.
He's the gay one, right?
Huh?
He's the gay one.
Is he?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I didn't know that. I pay no attention to these fellows more than I need to. And he asked her about the pregnancy and if it had challenged any of her beliefs. And she says, obviously, I'm a Christian and there are standards that we like to uphold, but none of us do it perfectly. We can nitpick what the Bible says is right and wrong. But I think just having that heart posture of wanting to serve God, it's so important. So, okay, cool. When the roosters come home, or whatever the saying is,
it's all about it's what's in your heart.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what is interesting is the fact that, you know, she's 36 years old, staring down, becoming a grandmother.
Yeah.
So she started her family quite young as well.
Right.
And I gather this is not the oldest son because the numbers don't add up.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, maybe it is the oldest one. But anyway, she also, there's an 18-year difference or gap between her and her mother.
I see.
So like they're getting a lot of generations in.
Yeah, they are.
And
they're gonna have a kid that knows their great grandmother or something.
I mean, we've got that in my family, but my grandmother's like 90 something. Still hard to do, and you still have to go quickly.
Yeah.
You can't wait around and have kids in your 40s.
No dilly-dallying.
That to happen. Nonetheless, again, the only reason to really bring this up is just this whole, she doesn't want to nitpick what the Bible says.
Right.
Which, of course, she's more than willing to throw what the Bible says all around.
Oh,
right. The article.
It's the only thing that matters in the world if you mention a trans or gay person.
Exactly. Or she was also the one, if I remember correctly, who like insinuated that Biden should die, right, by reading some Bible verse and related it to Biden.
Wait a minute, Frank. Are you accusing U.S. House of Representative Lauren Boebert of some sort of religious hypocrisy?
I mean, she's a conservative Christian, right?
Right.
I mean, that's pretty much all it takes.
It's baked in the dough.
Yeah, and
hypocrisy is just part of it.
I really shouldn't have gone down that other road of like that sounded a little judgy, because the thing that I think is interesting, of course, I'm going to get to another point that's judgy, but it's a different kind of judgy.
As long as you're judging the right thing.
No, but I was thinking about this, and I'm like, this is insane. She goes to CPAC and makes this announcement. And the crowd is just like, yeah, sure, great. Woohoo, keeping the kid, blah, 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 right? And I think about sort of the culture that I grew up in as a Mormon, and people didn't keep their kids, right?
Yeah.
Like the kids, it was still that, you know, kids were whisked away and had and finish off the pregnancy some other place, have the kid in shame, right?
Yeah.
Put it up for adoption and come back, right? That was more the pattern. That
and all you heard about was like so-and-so went to live with their aunt for 9 months suspiciously.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I just think about like how that was more sort of the norm. I think that's still what Mormons do, but I think it was more broadly the norm in American conservatism.
Yeah.
I have some experience with rural America. And this was happening at my high school back in the 90s, where the girls were getting pregnant and just keeping the kid.
Yeah.
There was no shame about it that I could see. Everybody was like, "Oh, you're having a baby," right? And I feel like rural those values that emerged in rural America decades ago have taken over conservative values in the country. Right. And it's largely this rural America movement. And I don't know what that really means, except for the fact that people like Lauren Boebert are in Congress. Right.
Yeah.
And it makes me crazy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Like it, I don't know. Like I'm sounding a little bit like an old man here, where I'm just like, I'm screaming about the degradation of our national values, but they are.
Well,
They're degrading.
They're pretty bad. I think that's been clear for a minute now. We're not doing great in these United States. That's for sure. And it's everything is the opposite of what those assholes say. Because they also say that morality and character is degraded in the United States.
Yeah, that's true.
They're wrong about like everything. Right. And why it is. So
I think it's the hypocrisy that ultimately that I'm infuriated about, right? Like it's not the fact that there are teens pregnant keeping their kids. It's that they all go to churches that say that that's wrong, and then somehow they're just like, "Oh yeah, but it's okay."
It's okay.
Right?
It's
especially when it's Lauren Boebert or
it's
people of her in her position, where it's just like, I mean, it was the vice president candidate as well, Sarah Palin, right?
Yeah,
she had a kid who it was in the exact same situation, and it was just like silence, and yet you know what they teach and you know what they preach about these things, and it's turned into this whole but I'm not getting an abortion. Oh, well, cool.
Well, now we're proud of you.
Yeah.
Not only are we not condemning you for the sin that you committed, but we're proud.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, exactly.
You're an example. And it's like, like I'm projecting other values of like, please just go to college, or please just like explore life for a little bit before getting tied down. With a kid. And I know that people do it and people live good, productive lives, who have found themselves in this situation, right?
There's no one way to do life.
And there is no one way. And I know I'm being a little judgy, but I don't like Lauren Boebert. So
fuck Lauren Boebert. Don't listen to any of the other stuff we just said. Yeah. All of it you can discard, but fuck Lauren Boebert is the takeaway from that story. Anyway, well, I am going to take us out of these United States and bury us deep in Rome, or rather in the Vatican City.
Ooh.
Where something has happened. Now, you'll recall that last year, sometime in 2022, Pope Frank himself went and visited Canada.
Ah, yeah.
Our neighbor to the north, Canada, and on that visit, he was there expressly to apologize to the indigenous peoples there for, the church's role in literally kidnapping children out of their families and then torturing them in schools to try and make them white and frequently killing them. Yeah. Just killing the shit out of a bunch of people. Anyway.
God. Yeah.
While he was here, a bunch of indigenous people, tried to make it clear that they wanted another thing to happen. One indicator of this was that, while the Pope was in Canada, visiting the altar of the National Shrine of Saint-Anne-de-Beaupré, they unrolled a banner that said, "Rescind the doctrine." Now, the doctrine to which they were referring is the doctrine of discovery. That was a long-standing Catholic doctrine that was the product of papal bulls. Now, a papal bull, for those of you who don't understand, is a decree by the Pope himself, and it's about as like serious as it gets. You know what I mean? Like, you can't ignore a papal bull. It is a big deal, sort of missive from the Pope to the world.
Okay.
And these go back to...
Was this like a finders keepers, losers weepers type?
Essentially, it was... So basically, it was the doctrine of discovery. The discovery in that is basically, if you discover it, you get to keep it. Now, there's a very big problem with that, that you don't get to just discover something that someone else already lives on and go, aha, I discovered it. It's mine.
Right.
But you did, because that's what That is what the Catholic Church endorsed for centuries.
Oh yeah.
As you know, as the European nations went forth and gobbled up the rest of the world that already had people living on it.
Sure. I mean, that's a technicality, I guess.
I mean, those people did you see them? They didn't wear the right clothes. Right. They weren't the right skin color. They weren't pale at all. So literally, yeah, this is what paved the way for Spanish conquistadors here in the Americas. It paved the way for everybody to plunder Africa. It paved the way for just everyone, all the Europeans, to behave as badly as we know that they did. So here's the thing. The Vatican just released a statement sort of coming very close to rescinding that doctrine. Basically, what they decided was that doctrine has already been rescinded. So never mind. We took that back a long time ago. We can't find the paperwork right now, but we're sure that we did it. So the current statement said that the papal bulls, quote, did not adequately reflect the equal dignity and rights of indigenous peoples.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was, I would say, inadequate in that respect. Yes. In that it reflected exactly zero dignity or equality of any people other than white Catholics. It also said something to the effect that papal bulls have never been considered expressions of the Catholic faith. You fucking liars!
What?
You can't claim that. It was multiple papal bulls. It had the seal of the Pope on it. You can't claim that wasn't ever considered an expression of the Catholic faith. Are you kidding me?
I mean, are they trying to sort of draw some distinction between like the papacy as like a landholder and
right,
like,
or as
with like the papal states or whatnot, right?
This was just the opinion of one man.
No, yeah, right.
Come on,
right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
like it was just one member of the church who happens to be the Lord's infallible mouthpiece on earth.
Well, what other decrees have come out as papal bulls, right? Like,
yeah.
Probably pretty important stuff.
It's very important stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, like when they first started, it was mostly like decrees about who owns what land and that sort of thing. But
okay. So that's what they're trying to say, that, well, sometimes he's not, the mouthpiece of God.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
It's the whole thing that the Mormons do with a prophet, not a prophet.
Right. Exactly. It's the whole thing that all Christians do, which is, oh, this is inconvenient for us, so that one doesn't count. Not that one. The other ones count. Oh, that one counts for sure, but not that one. That never counted. That was never real. They literally say that the statement says that the documents had been manipulated for political purposes, quote, to justify immoral acts against indigenous peoples. Yeah, they manipulated the papal bulls that literally said, go ahead and do whatever you want, it's yours.
Right.
These literally are the documents in the church that led to the enslavement of people.
They knew what they were doing.
They knew exactly, literally, look, I get it. The Catholic Church likes to say that the Pope is infallible, and it's hard to get there if you constantly have to be saying, well, not that Pope. That was a little boneheaded.
Rogue Pope.
So this look, here's the thing. It's nice that they're disavowing this now. Mm-hmm. And that's good. That is a good thing. There are problems with it. Like for instance, there's still like laws on the books in the United States and Canada and other places that take as their like sort of foundation this doctrine of discovery. Like that's still sort of baked into our dough, our legal dough here. So not great. We need to, we as countries need to divest ourselves of this concept as well. But at least the church that now has zero political power in the world the way it did back then, now they're fine with saying, no, that doesn't count.
Oh, golly, Dan. All right. Well, back here in Utah.
Oh,
Dan, it's kind of a little bit of a story that we don't do a lot of.
Okay.
It has to do with real estate.
Uh-huh.
But one of the larger real estate holding organizations in the state of Utah is the LDS Church. That's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
They're one of the largest real estate holding organizations in the world. But go on.
Sure. Okay. And one of the things that they hold a lot of are their chapels, right?
Yes. What they call ward houses.
Yeah, they're all over the place here in Salt Lake and Utah. But as the Mormon population has shifted around and there have been changing demographics in more the sort of the center of the city in Salt Lake, they have started divesting themselves of some of their old ward houses.
Yeah.
And so this is a story about a 97-year-old chapel not far from where I live, actually. It's the Wells Ward Chapel in the Liberty Wells neighborhood.
Sure.
Which is to the east of me. Apparently, you remember that earthquake we had
back
in 2020?
Yes.
Right as the pandemic was starting and we all thought the world was ending?
It was an awful weird time.
Well, anyway, I guess the building was pretty damaged, severely damaged by the earthquake. The extent of the damage, it's not entirely clear, but the church has listed the property for sale.
Sure. And
they're marketing it as a redevelopment opportunity because one of the requirements is that the buyer, this is written in all caps in the listing, quote, buyer will be required to raise building. The church, this is their new thing. They started within the last few years, I want to say.
Yes, it's very
because they don't want their church, their old buildings going off and used for some other purpose,
right?
Something that maybe could potentially be very counter to their own values, right?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody wants to turn it into a bar, not really at this location, but conceivable that some old church building somewhere, someone would want to turn it into something like that. Apparently, there was one old ward house, not in Salt Lake, but somewhere else in the state, that was turned into an independent liquor store. And
there's also one of the sort of small professional theaters in Salt Lake City is housed in a former Mormon ward house, and it is greatly to the chagrin of the Mormons, because that's the company that used to yearly do a make fun of Mormon / Utah culture.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Play.
So they probably don't like that Slack's in that building.
No.
Oh, wow. Never really thought about that. I did recognize it as an old Mormon chapel.
Yeah.
But so there's examples of this around town. There's also examples of old LDS chapels being turned into something that they probably would like. There's one over probably not too far from where you live that's been turned into a community center for refugees.
Right.
From a specific refugee
Why would
community.
the Mormons like that?
Because they're actually cool about like immigration and refugee stuff. Like, anyway.
Sometimes, yeah.
I think the church is. I think the people aren't really hearing what the church is saying about immigration, actually. Yeah. But nonetheless, they're requiring buildings to be demolished as a way of getting around this whole thing. But but here is the problem. Because Salt Lake was so heavily Mormon, they built a lot of these old ward houses, and some of them are nice to look at.
Yeah.
Such as this building. There's a picture.
Very few of them anymore.
That are left.
Anything built after the 70s maybe.
Yeah.
Is just a disaster.
You're being a little generous there. Like there were probably some in the 70s. You're probably right. There were probably a couple that were okay. But this one's got some it's got some nice lines. It looks like it looks churchy. But it's got like some stained glass over some like wood doors that are probably going into the chapel. It's got some other sort of like Gothic-y sort of elements around some stained glass. And it's, like this could easily be repurposed. This could be, again, we don't know the extent of the damage. Like it could be that it'd just be prohibitive for anybody to restore.
But even
this building.
undamaged ward houses now have to be raised.
They have to be knocked over. And it's
sucks.
It's such a shame because, repurposing an old building like this, like if a community organization is able to move in there, it can be a great space for them. Right.
Yeah.
And it just seems short-sighted by the church to just say, we're raising all these old chapels.
I get it because literally like I have fantasies about buying one of their churches and turning it into a sex club. So
sure.
I get where they're coming from. I exist and they know that I exist.
Sure.
So.
But what you're saying isn't just because you buy a piece of property doesn't mean that you can use it however you want to. Right.
I know.
And there are ways they could do deed restrictions. They could specifically say what they don't want going in this thing, tie it to the deed, and then it could be any number of other things that are benefits to the community.
Well, and they are. The thing about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is that if they can't sell it right away, they're fine. They can hold on to that building for a millennia.
Yeah,
and never worry about it.
Their financial stuff is on a completely different time horizon than any of us think.
Right.
Yeah.
So they can afford to find the exact right.
All I'm saying
buyer.
is, you would think that an organization like them, that they would have some sense of their own history, and that they would want to and that architecture, which I know they don't. I know that they have no appreciation for architecture. Right. And the role that it plays in their history, but it plays an important role, right?
Yeah.
And I don't like the Mormons. I wish they didn't exist, or they had never existed, right? But like they do, and they're taking away part of the historic fabric of this city, right?
Yep.
By requiring that when they're done with these old buildings, which they seem to slowly be moving away from all of them.
Yeah.
Right. And some of them are pretty cool. Right?
Yeah.
At least from the outside.
Yeah.
I've
we
never
got some
been in
historic buildings here, and it does add to the sort of the fabric of our city. So yeah, it's a shame.
So anywho, I don't like them. And this is another reason for me to not like the Mormons.
On them. Okay. So I'm going to take us to the state of Maine here in these United States. Maine you'll recall that back in last year, there was a Supreme Court case that went very badly.
Okay. Last year.
At least for like separation of church and state. This is one of those ones where we learned exactly how awful our Supreme Court is right now, and how little they care for the documents that they purport to be protecting.
Right.
Anyway, this was a case called Carson versus Macon, and it involved a voucher program for private schools in Maine that had sued to. So these were like private Christian schools that sued to get money, public money, for themselves, because they wanted it, and they got money. It.
Yeah, right.
They were granted the right to public funding for their schools. Then what I didn't know at the time was that the state of Maine, the Maine legislature,
Mm-hmm.
had leapt into action, seeing this coming down the pike, and had changed their law so that they basically forbade any entity that wanted tax dollars from discrimination. They basically expanded their anti-discrimination law to protect LGBTQ people.
Oh.
And so basically what that ended up meaning was, okay, yes, you can have public money, but not if you discriminate against the LGBTQ plus community.
Fair enough.
Well, not to them it ain't. We like our discrimination, they shouted angrily.
Oh, no.
And are desperate to hang on to it. So,
Oh, no.
of all of the Christian schools that were happily discriminating, only one of them opted to say, because basically they had a choice. They could give up the discrimination or they could not get the money. So one school decided to give up the discrimination, and all the other schools were like, no, hatred is a central tenet of what we do. So there's another lawsuit happening.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So
Oh, that's, oh, God.
it didn't take long. It didn't take long. So we'll get to see how that goes. But the Bangor Christian schools.
Bangor.
Banger's always
Bangor,
funny.
Maine.
You Bangor, you brought her, is suing. They are very upset. They call this a poison pill law that, quote, effectively deters religious schools from participating and thereby perpetuates the religious discrimination at the heart of the sectarian exclusion.
All you have
They're
to do is be
discriminating
decent
against
human
us.
beings. That's all you have to do. All you have, like, oh, God.
Look,
You don't even have to be decent human beings. All you have to do is just take the money and then be quiet on, like, 2 or 3 issues.
right. You can still indoctrinate these kids.
Yeah.
Just let the gay stuff be indoctrinated in church instead of in school.
Yeah.
Just
oh, my God.
get rid of one of the indoctrination points. Here's the other thing, and this kills me. They're claiming that they are being discriminated against because they're not being allowed to discriminate.
It's a
When are you
wild
going to hear
argument.
it? When are you going to hear yourselves? Just
That's a good one.
literally what we should all be doing is just, as a country, staring at them until they hear it.
They'll never hear it.
They'll never hear it.
They'll never hear it because they feel so put upon. How is this not discrimination? They keep saying.
Yeah.
How is this?
I got
How
news
is
for
me
you, kids.
being in the majority,
Yeah.
and you saying I can't hate people? How is that not discrimination?
You are discriminating against me for discriminating. It's not fair.
They might know how stupid the argument is. I don't know. But there are a lot of anyway.
Bitches love their hate. That's all it is to it. They love their hate. Don't want to give it up.
It's amazing. All right. Well, Dan,
Yeah.
still up there in the northeastern part of the country, but down in Connecticut, there's been a miracle.
Oh,
Dan,
I love a good miracle.
Did you hear about this miracle? I cannot believe that everybody in the country is not talking about this.
Oh,
because
I'm excited.
if it's true,
Which it must be.
it's a miracle, right? Apparently a few weeks ago, it was in the Lenten season. So this is recent, right?
Okay.
This is the Father Joseph Crowley of the St. Thomas Church, I guess.
Oh.
He says we had something happen during their mass just 2 weeks from Easter. He says what happened is our Lord multiplied himself. So he was serving communion, and he was running low on wafers on the host.
Sure.
He hadn't put enough in the ciborium. Is that how it's called? That's the little serving vessel, I guess.
You could just make up a word, and I would. I'm not going to be able to correct you on that
The
one.
bibbly-boo. So he had the host in the bibbly-boo.
Sure.
And he sort of noted that it wasn't going to be enough for the congregation. A lot of people had arrived.
Oh, dear.
And then all of a sudden, there were more wafers in the ciborium. And
oh, my God.
yeah, this is according to him, a very cool miracle. There is no doubt.
That would be very cool.
There is no doubt. I have no doubt, he says.
Can we get any kind of confirmation on this except that dude's memory of it?
There's also the Eucharistic minister.
Sure.
Who was the one who did observe that there were not going to be enough hosts for everybody in line. Yeah. So some parishioners, here's response from parishioners. He says, this is Gene Beck. Just feel it in your heart. Just feel it in your heart. How can you look at everything that's going on and not believe? Beautiful, beautiful sentiment, Gene. And then there's another parishioner, Michael Conway, who says, it surprises me. I hope it's real. If it isn't, get this. I love this sentence. If it isn't, at least it will bring somebody back to faith. And we know that things can happen.
Oh my God.
So
the
even
old
if it's
faith
a
promoting lie,
he's cool with it. Because if somebody comes back to church. Anyway, the Archbishop over this area, one Mr. Archbishop Leonard Blair, is sending in an investigator. He says, I'm sending out an experienced priest who has a knowledge of church or canon law. They will follow a procedure to examine what happened, under what circumstances, and by whom. The guidelines for these kinds of situations do call for me to notify the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith in Rome. This is going up the flagpole.
Oh my God.
He
it's
says
so meaningful.
That the church's investigation may involve a, quote, scientific or, quote, forensic analysis of the communion host. Yeah, I'm sure. You're going to get this.
What? We're going to do a forensic analysis by asking the two guys that are making the claim if they're making the claim. You guys still believe that happened? Are you sure? Sounds like a miracle. We did it.
Woohoo! So far in the 21st century, there have been 4 confirmed Eucharistic miracles that are recognized by the Catholic Church. This is a thing. This is just a thing. The Eucharist, I guess, these little wafers, they get up to some crazy stuff every once in a while.
No, it's too dumb.
The most recent one was in 2013 in Poland, where a wafer fell on the floor. It was put in some water to dissolve. It became streaked after it was put in the water with red stains that were tested and found to contain fragments of heart muscle.
Shut your fucking mouth.
Jesus heart muscle.
Oh my God.
Can you believe it?
No, obviously not. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Shut up. Everybody please shut up.
So the St. Thomas Church, that's where this one happened, right? With the multiplying Jesus, which is, that's part of this, right? Body of Christ.
Yeah.
They think it's anyway.
Transubstantiation. It turns into literal Jesus.
Right. Just like this stuff with the heart muscle in it, which is, if true, a miracle.
But imagine how dumb that miracle is. Like, literally, how am I supposed to be? How does that promote anything? What?
How
if you want to do a miracle,
Dan?
God, if you want to do a miracle, do one that we all see that is obvious.
No, that's not how God works.
It used to be. It used to be exactly how God works.
No.
I've read his book.
No.
It happened all the fucking time. Waters parted and fucking shit turned into whatever. Like people, like it happened all the time. People walking on water.
I know.
They were mostly water
For
based.
anyone to see. I know. Well, water's magic, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, the St. Thomas Church, right? That's what we've been talking about. That's apparently there was this dude by the name of Michael McGivney. He was Reverend Michael McGivney. He has been beatified. Back in 2020, he was given the title Blessed, and so he's on track. He served there back in the 1800s.
Okay.
Right? And he's had this one miracle attributed to him. And so if a second miracle is attributed to him, like if they say that this was Blessed Michael who multiplied the host, if it's attributed to him, he could be put on a path to being canonized as a saint. This is very exciting stuff for people who watch this kind of stuff.
It's just
very
so dumb.
If you have his rookie cards, people,
right?
He's about to.
That's about to be worth a lot
because he's about to become a saint, guys.
They're gonna change the name of that parish to Our Lady of Nonsense Miracles. Worthless miracle. Okay, I'm gonna just close this out.
Okay.
In Ukraine, we've talked about Ukraine. If you're not aware of world goings on,
sure,
there seems to be a bit of a do in Ukraine. They're having a bit of a kerfuffle.
Yeah.
Their neighbors, the Russians, are not sharing the sandbox. They're not being very nice.
Yeah. They're not heeding. You know, the good fences make good neighbors.
Right. They're saying.
No
there is no fence. There is no neighbor. You are us now.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes, there's a war. And as we've talked about this before, but one of the things that's happened is that the Russian Orthodox Church has been supplying aid and comfort and sort of religious cover to the actions of Vladimir Putin and the Russian oligarchy as they invade and murder Ukrainians.
Right.
Well, one of the things that's happened geopolitically or geo-religiously is that a lot of so there was a bit of a schism, a bit of a disaffiliation after the Russians invaded Crimea. The Ukrainians didn't want to be part of the Russian Orthodox Church anymore.
Fair enough.
They had been for a long time. They did not want to. They went to a patriarch, whoever he is, in Turkey, the Constantinople patriarch, who is considered the first among equals, a concept that is delightfully impossible. And they got this dispensation to start the Ukrainian Orthodox Church.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Or rather, sorry, I shouldn't say the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. I should say the Orthodox Church. What is it? It's something different because the Ukrainian Orthodox Church is the one that has ties to Moscow.
Oh, sure. Okay.
It's very, very much the People's Front of Judea and the Judean People's Front. One of them is the good guys. One of them is connected to Moscow and very much under suspicion for supplying Russia with intel about what's going on in Ukraine.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Yeah.
So the Ukrainian government has been like, fuck off to those guys in multiple different ways at multiple different times. Well, one of the ways that's happening right now is that there is a monastery called the Monastery of the Caves. I don't remember what the Ukrainian, but it's gorgeous. It's sort of one of their heritage sites, their big heritage sites there in Ukraine. It's huge. And oopsie-doo, it is actually owned by the Ukrainian government. So
okay.
they have issued an eviction notice for
no.
all of the, and mind you, this is a monastery. It's got a school. There are literally hundreds of people who live there.
My, okay.
And no, they are to leave. So they're upset. They're sticking around to the bitter end, which is supposed to be this coming week. We'll see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen, but
they're not going along with the eviction.
Well, they're saying is we're going to stay until the bitter end, and we don't know what that means.
What is the bitter end?
And they are saying that at least one of the monks there was quoted as saying that prayer is our only weapon.
Oh, well.
So hopefully that's true, because prayer is meaningless and they'll just have to go. But that's one of the fronts that war is being fought on, is the religious front. So interesting.
So weird.
We'll see what happens there.
So these are not the silent kind of monks. Because you got a quote from one of them.
Yeah,
so
apparently.
Or else he just broke his vow to just be like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
Can we just convince all religious people to take a vow of silence? I think it's
just
good
be
for
part
them.
of it. This is brilliant. I love it.
All right. Well, if you have anything you'd like to say about this or any of our stories, please feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail message. We'd love to hear from you. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around. There's more show coming up.
Well, Frank.
Dan.
Just earlier in our show, you had talked about someone, you had given a quote from someone who said that if a miracle is faith promoting, it doesn't matter if it's true.
Right.
That ties in very nicely to the audio that we're about to hear. This is a guy, a right-wing political ding dong who I don't like to get political other than they always make it religious. So this guy is going to tell us all about people like Donald Trump, Kanye West, yay, if you will,
Right.
and others. See if you can figure out why I would be alarmed at who's on this list. He's going to tell us all about them. So yeah, I'll just let him speak for himself.
I'm one of the few people who says that, these kings, be it Putin, be it Trump, be it Ye, be it other people, are under essentially a different standard. Like Constantine. It's like, I don't care if it's real, or I don't care if your faith is fake or real. If you're a ruler, you have a priesthood of sorts, a kingship, a lordship, a stewardship over the people that exceeds that of private devotion or private faith. And it's different, and it is judged in heaven. So, public professions of faith are very, very powerful, and the private corruption of a king doesn't remotely bother me at all.
The private corruption.
Private corruption, it's fine. They're allowed to be corrupt, Frank. They're
The
kings.
ends justify the means.
Does he hear himself? Because I'm pretty sure that if you asked him if, the founding fathers of the United States were correct in doffing the monarchy of old, he'd be all about it.
Right.
But boy, howdy, he's happy to crown Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin kings. Putin! He's one of the heroes.
I don't know what's going on with conservative Christians right now, and they're like what the whole Putin fascination is. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It's because of Trump. Trump was like literally in Putin's pocket, so he must be okay.
It's got to be more than that, though, right? Like how did they? Were they that enthralled by Trump that like that's
literally? Of course they were. They were not only that.
I mean,
but the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah. And so if the enemy of Putin is American liberalism,
right,
and Western liberalism, I guess, but like really, that's the kind of society you want to live in?
You're going to embrace that guy,
right? Because it suggests to me, if you're a fan of him, that you want to live in a place that he would create. Well, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'd rather live here.
Yeah.
Right.
For all of its problems.
Yeah. Totally. Right.
Oh, yeah. Of which that guy is one. All right.
Yeah.
Good God. Well, we had some folks write into us, call into us. We'll start with River, who said, "Hi, Frank and Dan. Mark, the former Lutheran, wrote in last week to offer his view on Lent, and I wanted to offer my view on the conversation in turn. Mark mentioned that several major religions have a month or so on the calendar when adherents are asked to give something up, and those periods tend to line up with times of year that are historically times of scarcity. Rather than the scarcity cheapening the gesture or viewing it as, quote, training people to feel better about starving," which was kind of our take, my takeaway was a sense of solidarity. Kind of a we aren't starving, but if we don't tighten the belts, we might thing as a whole community. I know at least Ramadan and Rosh Hashanah have exceptions to fasting built in for certain groups. For example, young children, pregnant people, those who are ill. In the days when last year's stores are running dry and this year's bounty has yet to arrive, everyone giving up a little can make the difference between life and death for elders, toddlers, and people in the last couple of months of pregnancy. In the U.S., we're farther removed from those realities than much of the globe. Also, we tend not to be particularly community-minded in late capitalism. Okay, all that, I can get on board with that.
Yeah. Seems
true.
reasonable.
So thanks for that. We also have a voicemail, do we not?
We do indeed, Dan. This is from a listener who is sort of balancing sort of professional life with personal life. We'll put it that way.
Okay.
Hi, Frank and Dan. I just listened to the show where you were talking about pornography and protecting the children and all that. I have my own experience with that. I'm a church musician. I have been working for the church as a musician for several years, and for a while I have had this like love-hate relationship with it because I know that I'm very good at what I do, and they're basically the only entity that will pay me for it. But I've recently found a really fun way to troll the church while still doing what I love, because I am also a polyamorous kinkster and content creator. And I was just thinking about next week is Holy Week. So I've been in rehearsals constantly getting ready for that. Next week I am singing absolutely every single day of the week. But I also have some other fun activities planned. For instance, before going to Mass, one day I have a kink scene planned with a partner. And then there's another day that week that I have a sexy photo shoot with somebody else. So I have really enjoyed indulging in my own alternative form of art / pornography, while also knowing that in a few minutes I'm going to be back in church singing for Jesus and putting on my choir robes and just enjoying the little nugget of trolling the church within their own walls. The other thing I love about it is, of course, so I work for the Catholic Church, and knowing that I'm working for the biggest pedophile ring in the history of the world, and they would certainly fire me if they knew what I get up to outside of outside of wartime. And yet everything that I do is only for adults, consenting adults who fully opt in and appreciate and love human bodies and sexuality and everything that goes with it. And nobody's harming the children. Anyway, I just thought it was relevant. Love the show. Listen to it every week. I love you guys. Bye.
Sinner! Oh, you Jezebel. Sins. I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta say, if you're not wearing the choir robes to the kink stuff, you're missing a trick. And frankly, nobody knows what you have on under the choir robes also. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that may be a trick for all of our listeners, which is if you, for whatever reason, feel that you must go to church, and there are many reasons why people who are atheists go to church, they don't know what you're wearing under there.
That's true.
Just have your own little subversion in mind, you know. Wear something that of which they would definitely not approve, but just don't show it to them. And then you can just have this little twinkle in your eye as you go around. Cause that's always great.
Yeah.
That's always great. I must say that there are plenty of people for whom going to church, seeing somebody in those robes or whatever would be their kink. So there you go. There's a tie-in. I see it. I get it. I like it. Send us pictures of you in your robes. Okay. So, and then we had another listener write into us. Hey guys, I love your podcast. It's great. I didn't like it when you guys were laughing about the toe lady. You remember, Frank, there was a woman who there was a miracle. Her toes grew back right in front of everybody, though nobody has seen the toes.
Sure.
I didn't like it when you guys were laughing about the toe lady getting shot in her toes by her husband. I heard the story, and apparently she contracted an infection from being shot that caused her toes to need to be amputated. Domestic violence ain't funny. Trust me, I know. I will laugh my ass off with you about the regrowing of toes since it's freaking hilarious, but the shooting itself is no joke and all too common. I think that's obviously true, and I don't think that we were laughing about.
Yeah, I hope it didn't seem that way.
About the domestic violence itself. There is something unique and weird about shooting someone in the toes that may have just caught us off guard.
Probably.
Why the toe? What are you doing? Anyway.
Yeah.
But no, there is nothing funny about domestic violence. That is not.
No, of course not.
We certainly obviously wouldn't want that to be the takeaway of anything that we do. And if that's what we laughed at, I don't remember how the story went, but it was just about the toes.
Yeah, I probably giggled around the toes. Toes are funny.
Shooting. Why are you shooting toes?
Yeah.
Like
that's absurd. Right?
It was the absurdity of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So apologies if we gave you the icks on that one.
Yeah.
We have some folks to thank, do we not?
We do, Dan. We have some new patrons.
Wonderful.
On Patreon. We have a new deacon.
Okay.
By the name of David.
Bless you, deacon.
Bless you. We have a new teacher by the name of Audrey.
Woo.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
And we have two new priests.
Dan. Whoa.
By the name of Jonathan and Kim. That's okay. So I guess it's technically three.
But now technically you guys are splitting the powers
you're
between
sharing.
You can't use it at the same. It's kind of like a Netflix login. You can both use it, but not at the same time.
Correct. And then there's Christopher.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah. So thank
Magic
you.
powers to all of you.
Thank you so much for supporting the show. If you'd like to join them, dear listener, you can go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, and click on the support tab. And there are options there. And
yes.
Dan, we have a new Lord and Savior this week.
Oh my gosh. Brace yourselves, kids. Buckle up.
I was given a pronunciation here. So I'm going to... this is my first attempt to yell this out into the world. Melarmony.
Amazing.
So
wonderful.
Thank you so much. to Malermony. You are the Lord and Savior of the show, our top donor.
Congratulations.
Amazing.
Thanks to all of our patrons, and more show coming up. Well, Franklin,
Dan,
you know, coming up is one of the great holidays.
Is it?
It's one of the high holy days
Yeah.
for many around the world, for billions of people, literally billions of people.
Really?
I think so. Christianity, at least 1 billion,
1.5 maybe.
something like that.
Is
A billion plus people.
A lot of people. A lot of people.
It is the celebration of the murder of a dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Or
funny.
you'd think it was. I mean, it is technically the celebration of his re-arrival.
Right.
But man, I'll tell you what, when you sit around and watch as, like, in horror, as a family shows a movie about, like, a snuff film, basically, about the dying of somebody to children.
Right.
It's horrific.
It's brutal.
I'll tell you, it's the coming back is not what they're going to remember. That's not the takeaway that they're going to get. But on the flip side, those kids got lots of candy, and you know,
Easter Bunny came out.
a bunny laid eggs all over their place.
Around. The mysterious Easter Bunny. See, the whole Easter Bunny dressed up, like somebody dressed up in an Easter Bunny costume.
Uh-huh.
That doesn't work with how the Easter Bunny was presented to me as a child.
No, me neither.
Which was that the Easter Bunny's invisible.
Oh, really?
And he just comes and like lays his eggs out in the yard, and you have to go find them.
I never.
And
Here's
I
the
thought
thing.
that was really. I couldn't quite wrap my head around that one.
No,
that confused me.
Especially since those eggs were very clearly the eggs that we colored the night before.
Well, there's always an explanation. Well, Mom helps the Easter Bunny.
We colored these. You're telling me that there's a rabbit who comes in and takes the eggs that we colored and then just hides them? Anyway, hide and seek is fun. Going and searching out treasures in your own home or backyard or whatever.
But it's the worst prize ever. They wind you up. You're a little kid, right? They wind you up about this Easter Bunny coming, and he's like hidden all this stuff, these eggs out in the yard, and you get so excited about it that you don't really hear egg, right? As like the surprise, right? And you collect them all up, and now you have a bunch of eggs.
Yeah. I always hated it. I was always so mad about eggs.
And
but like there was chocolate. All I cared about was chocolate.
There's chocolate, sure. But no, so this got us talking about, well, the fact that my mother-in-law texted my husband and I yesterday or the day before about, she was like, should I get a leg of lamb? Right. Doesn't reference Easter, right, at all. She's like, if I get a leg of lamb, will you guys cook it next weekend? Right. And we're just like, did you just get a hankering? Like, what's like, this is a little bit out of the blue, you know, but like, sure, we like to like, we'll try cooking a leg of lamb. Why not? Right.
Yeah.
And she knows that we like to cook. So, I mean, it sort of works, but like, I was still like, this is really just out of the blue. And then I was like, oh, it's Easter.
Right.
Oh, and it took a couple days to realize that it was Easter. But with this got us talking about like the traditions that you keep.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, what tradition? Like, you and I don't have children.
Right.
But if we had,
that's
what would we hang on to? Like, obviously, we're not going to talk about Jesus.
right.
So what do you keep? You want to have some fun traditions.
Sure. A little basket.
All the
of
other kids are
candy.
doing something fun.
Yeah.
On this one.
You get
So
some new
what-
clothes, the pastel colored clothes.
Everybody's got to have the pastel colored
I don't know
clothes.
why that's a thing, but it's a thing.
It's spring. Spring is for pastels. Everyone has to look like a flower.
Yeah. And you decorate some eggs. Fine. I mean, all of that, fine, whatever. Like, Like Easter for me is the easiest one to disconnect from the religious
Absolutely.
aspect of it. Like
There is literally nothing about those traditions that ties in with anything.
well, and Mormons don't really do Easter like the rest of Christianity. Like it's just like they talk about it. It's the service will definitely be focused on, you know, the resurrection and whatnot. But like that's about it, right? Like it's like there's no Lent, there's no like big build up. It's pretty light on sort of tradition in the Mormon church. So it is all the other stuff. Yeah, fine, whatever.
It's funny because there is so much tradition involved in Easter that has nothing to do, that is completely divorceable from the religion. That is fascinating.
Yeah.
Because Christmas is different.
I mean, there's a lot that has nothing to do with Christmas or with Jesus, I guess.
But there's a whole lot. Yeah. I mean, you could do a tree. That doesn't feel like it's got anything to do with Jesus necessarily. You could do a few things. Would you, I mean, so what Christmas things would you do for your kids? And what wouldn't you?
Oh, golly. Yeah, you put up a tree. Okay, we're talking about little kids. You put up a tree. You definitely do all the Santa crap, right? Like you can go as nuts with Santa as you want to, because that's harmless and
nothing to do with anything. You wouldn't want to do like a creche. You wouldn't want.
Why not? Like who doesn't like a diorama, Dan? Yeah, I'm definitely getting some for little kids. You get little figurines. You build your little house. You let them play with Jesus. Why not? Why not make the nativity, that whole scene, the whole Jesus story, as much about sort of the dumb fakeness of Christmas,
right?
As Santa Claus, right?
And
don't have anything holy around it. Don't treat it as sacred or special.
Right.
Just be like, oh, and this is the baby Jesus.
This is the baby Yoda.
You can play with baby Jesus if you want. You can put him in your dollhouse. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
But yeah, like build out. Like I actually kind of like nativities.
Yeah.
I think they're kind of fun, Dan.
That sounds like you. That sounds perfect.
I don't have a nativity. But now I'm kind of like, I kind of want to build like, you know, little town of Bethlehem, you know, diorama, right?
I think you should. I think you 100% should.
Like the little Christmas town things. Have you ever seen? You've seen those, right? The little little ceramic Christmas towns. I want that, but for Judea, ancient Judea.
They're all celebrating Christmas on Christmas. It's what you do.
Yeah, of course.
Oh my gosh. What would be a fun way to translate that to Easter, I wonder? Have a crucifix, I don't know, put a bunny on a crucifix? No, that's
the
gruesome.
Yeah, that's really gruesome. The problem with Easter is it's such a violent story.
Yeah.
Easter. Yeah. The actual Christian side of it, it's horrible. I mean, you called it a snuff film sort of in jest, but like, I remember back to little films that we would watch about the crucifixion and resurrection and everything. And they were wildly, wildly uncomfortable to watch as a child.
Yeah, they're horrible.
I absolutely hated them, and they make that moment of that first nail, right, going into the first palm as being there's all this like tension and build up, and like they don't have to show it, right?
Right.
It's because also you're already turned away and not looking anyway, right? Because it's just such
but you see a nail being placed toward the palm. You see a hammer being drawn back,
and then the clink, right?
Yeah, you're gonna hear some awful sound effects. You're gonna hear screaming and wailing and weeping and stuff.
Yeah, and
it's
the sound
traumatizing.
of like a giant nail going through flesh and you know, bones
Yeah.
and whatnot in the hand. Like, it's awful.
Yeah, that's trauma right
That
there.
is like, why are they the whole like bathing in the blood, that moment of just like it is a celebration of Jesus's crucifixion, whether they
Yeah.
want to call it that or not. It is, right? And
A lot of them do call it that. A lot of them love that.
they
A
call
lot
it
of
a
them are
celebration. They celebrate.
Yeah,
Celebrate.
because
I mean,
because we were all redeemed by his death, so they get heavy into the death. You've seen
I know,
like the pageants. We saw a pageant in Arkansas,
yeah,
you and I together,
that's true.
that ends celebrating this dude being lifted onto a cross.
Yeah.
It's
His
just-
writhing, the histrionics of that moment, of like
Right.
the way they portray it, right? Because it's in this huge amphitheater, so it has to be like, everything has to be big and
Yeah, dude was
gesticulated.
half a mile away from us by the time they got it on there.
But he's just absolutely writhing about in ways I doubt anybody who's being crucified would.
Well, because it was one of those shows where, their dialogue is just sort of a playback. It's
That's
just
true.
a recorded
Yeah.
thing. And he has to indicate that it's him talking. So his arms start flapping wildly because his hands are nailed to this cross. But he wants everybody to know that it's him that's talking. So his arms, he's trying
the
so
torso
hard.
is just like like whipping all around. Yeah,
I will say this about the Christians, that I never got this, but I know that it's happening, and I don't know how long it has been happening. It may have been forever, but there are a lot of things that celebrate the resurrection. And one of the things, for instance, is that something that was advertised to me on like Facebook or something was a little mountain with a little stone rock that you could roll away so that the kid could go into the Jesus tomb and you could roll the rock onto them to close it. And then you can roll it away and I don't know, maybe he can disappear out of it. There's a miracle.
Oh, it's
was
a
a-
magic trick?
It was I don't know if it was a magic trick, but it was a Jesus tomb play set that you could buy for your kids. Like, what the fuck?
Has like a little drop floor so Jesus can go away.
And I know that in the Midwest they have pastries that are like roll away the tomb, like
What?
empty tomb pastries that
It's
are
like
just
a donut with
or like a croissant sort of thing, but hollowed out in the
Sure.
middle.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That-
Well,
that's
and
not cool.
obviously that's a keeper.
the,
You know, if
you don't want-
if your family makes those,
you don't want toys of like Jesus's death. Do you? Like that's taking Easter to a totally different place.
I mean, it's there. You want the kids to be playing with Jesus. You want the kids to be engaged with the story. And
Fair, I guess.
now, mind you, I know that there are plenty of churches in the country that have a tradition of the kids reenacting the goddamned murder of Jesus. Children with like bloody palms because they were the ones playing Jesus in the church pageant. That's about as gruesome as it gets. That's child abuse, probably.
Yeah.
Resurrection rolls. I just found it online. You can make resurrection rolls.
Resurrection
now
rolls. Yes.
Now I insist that you and Dave make them when you make your lamb. When you do the leg of lamb, if I don't hear about you doing resurrection rolls, I will be livid.
All right. Send me the recipe.
Okay, I will. All right. Well, if you'd like to tell us what your experience has been, which traditions you've adopted and which you have eschewed, please do so. Write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail and tell us about it. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click the like button.
And if you'd like to join one of our members-only lounges, you can do so. Go to our website, thankgodimatheist.com/members-only.
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their music.
And thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in. We sure do appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.